Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Coffee, where in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the fact that it seems like Disney has heard fans loud and clear that they want more Star Wars The Clone Wars. That's today here on Star Wars Coffee. The Clone Wars has officially ended as a TV series with its 7 seasons when we just finished getting this final one in 2020, where we finally got that final season of the Clone Wars Season 7, where our first 4 episodes wrapped up with the Bad Batch, our second arc focused on Ahsoka, and then the last arc focused on the real big intertwining of Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars TV show. And the Clone Wars was obviously an animated TV series set between the events of Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. The series originally aired on Cartoon Network for 5 seasons, and then it was abridged with the 6th season that was released through Netflix back in 2014. And then in 2018, back in July of 2018, it was announced that we would get another 12 episodes from Disney's streaming service. So this show has had quite a lifespan, spanning about like 12 years at this point, if you go back to the movie that first came out in 2008. George Lucas originally had this idea for the animated series of the Clone Wars back in 2002, where it was aired on Cartoon Network from 2003 to 2005 with some type of funky animation, before we got the show that we now know and love. And with that, the Clone Wars has officially ended under that name. And while we have Star Wars insider Corey Van Dyke telling us that while the Clone Wars has finished, he says, quote, "The series itself is finished, but there is something more coming with certain characters," hinting at the possible continuation, talking about a fandom article titled "Dave Filoni doubts there'll be a continuation of Star Wars The Clone Wars. Creatively, you always want to move forward. I'm glad it's done." However, he continues to say that while this is done under this name, there will be some continuation of this Clone Wars era with a different type of animated series. So if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you're going to understand that we have a Rebels sequel series already in the works, as well as now throwing into the mix a Clone Wars animated series. And if you know my position on Star Wars animated series, there's always at least one airing and one in development. So if you take a look at it this way, we had Rebels, so we had Clone Wars, then we had Rebels while there was no Clone Wars, then we had Resistance while there was no Rebels, and then we had Clone Wars again, and now we have nothing right now. And the only thing that we're getting Star Wars wise is the Mandalorian Gallery at the moment. And it makes sense that Star Wars has always had some type of animated series going to fill in gaps of certain parts of the lore. And while the Clone Wars has clearly been such well received critically and by fans, especially with the 7th season under Disney's reign, we have obvious amounts of money that they can throw into this to continue it, and it looks like that's what they're going to do. While Resistance is done and Rebels has wrapped up in its current form, we are getting that Rebels sequel series that we know is in development, and now we're getting a Clone Wars series that was in development. So Corey Van Dyke continued on that, a posthumous tweet, where he then continued and said, following up on that, saying, "There's no plans for the unfinished The Clone Wars episodes to be finished at present, but there will be more content with certain characters, and this is unrelated to the rumored Rebels sequel series." So what he's voicing here is that the Clone Wars has had a ton of episodes that never actually got to air and never ended up coming to fruition. There were about 40 of these episodes that were never actually released in any part of any season. And he's making the point to say that this is not what he's expecting to be released. It's not going to be these 40 episodes that we never got any actual fruition in type of a streaming service or airing on Cartoon Network or on Netflix or anything like that. It's going to be its own separate series continuing the lore of the Clone Wars era, following certain characters. So don't expect it to follow the Jedi and like Obi-Wan and Anakin and all of that, as it's probably going to hinge on the end of the actual Clone Wars series that we got in Season 7, where it's going to follow different characters that we already don't have a type of actual film arc for. So for example, like, don't expect it to follow Anakin, Obi-Wan, anything like that. Maybe expect references to them, but I wouldn't expect them to be the focal point, is what he's essentially saying. And now he says, even further, to clarify these scoops from earlier, there is a Clone Wars sequel series in early development. We are not sure, but it would make sense if it follows Rex and Ahsoka after the events of Season 7, which I think everybody is really interested in. So this makes perfect sense as we want to know more about Rex. Rex seems to be such a fan favorite, especially of the Clone Wars, as well as Ahsoka obviously getting her start in the Clone Wars, coming to live action with Rosario Dawson in The Mandalorian Season 2. So these characters are kind of like the next version of the Obi-Wan Anakin for this modern generation in terms of these animated series. So expect this Clone Wars sequel series that's already in early development. Expect Filoni to have a hand in that as well, as he's been cryptically talking about certain things like this. And you can go check out Star Wars Speculation's great channel on that. My friend Mike over there, who does really great work over there, unpacking and decryptifying Dave Filoni's hidden messages. So thank you guys for watching this episode. Let me know what you guys think about a Star Wars, the Clone Wars sequel series being ordered by Disney at Disney Plus. Expect that to drop at some point exclusively on Disney's Disney Plus streaming service. Thank you guys for watching. May God bless you and the Force be with you. Be sure to check out me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Twitch, all of that. Links are in the description below. Thank you guys so much. God bless you and the Force be with you always. If you enjoyed this episode, and frankly, even if you didn't, don't forget to subscribe. Do it! And if you want to help spread the word, please give this video a thumbs up and tell your friends to subscribe. Please check out the official Star Wars Coffee merchandise, and don't forget to check out all of the content playlists on this channel, including The Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian, and much more.